Oh, so much drama for today's stream. I don't know if the stream can handle it. It's just an incredible amount of drama. We're just going to do all the drama at once. It's a drama tsunami. It's going to be tough to talk about, but I'm going to try and skate that fine line. Is there an echo? I don't think there's an echo, right? All right, okay. All right, let me first off, it's the first stream of the week, so you know what that means? Gifting memberships, because you guys are so incredibly generous. I want to try and match your generosity myself. So you guys inspired me. So at the beginning of every week, I gift 5 memberships. So of course, as always, what are you guys talking about for an echo? Distraction. All right, so if you would like to get a membership, YouTube decides who gets the membership. You have to opt in to receive gifts, and then people who interact the most with the channel get the memberships. All right, so it's so nice to see all of you. As I said, we have a very juicy stream. I think when there's not a lot of news, the news cycle looks to find news. And so I think that's one of the things that's helping to fuel certainly our first 2 stories. The third story is just egregious and really is just an awful thing that deserves a lot of attention. Hey, Sean. Hey, Theodore. All right. So here we go. Story number 1. Where is it? Boop. Oh, what the heck is happening here? So you might have heard of the drama between Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni. Who the heck is Justin Baldoni? He is the director and star and producer of the hit film It Ends With Us, which stars Blake Lively. This, of course, was the second grossing highest film last weekend, as we discussed on Movie Math. It opened with $50 million. And it was supposed to be a big thing for everybody involved, but it's quickly deteriorating. In fact, the story, thank you, smart girl, the story just got real when it was reported that Baldoni has now hired a crisis PR firm. So that means this probably isn't going to go away anytime soon. It's interesting that you say that, Yessie, that Blake is in her J-Lo era. I've seen a couple of people say that online already. The internet has really taken a side here, and it's been strongly on Baldoni's side, very much against Blake Lively. And I think this is really blowing up in her face. I'm going to go through the details of the situation and give you a little bit of my perspective, but also we have to be very careful here because we don't know entirely what happened, all right? But we do know. But I have to say, J-Lo is not a good comparison because J-Lo has really hurt her career. It's been very bad for J-Lo. And, Blake Lively was supposed to be a big glow up for her, not a J-Lo. All right, so I think that if the entire cast and the author of the book that it's based on, that the movie is based on, is going to unfollow the producer, director, and co-star and not be willing to do any publicity with him, including not stand next to him on the red carpet, you got to explain why. Because then the internet's just going to come in there and do their own. You guys like the J-Lo? And they're going to do their own. They're going to fill in the blanks themselves. So that's what happened. So that's how this all started. And I'd heard some whispers that, people in Hollywood overall were not hearing good things about Justin Baldoni. That was actually the first thing I ever heard about this movie, which I thought was very interesting. And someone had actually said to me, this guy, everyone hears in Hollywood that he's weird. And I was like, oh, interesting. And then so to see this kind of blow up over the past week has been very interesting. It is becoming a huge headache for Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds. Who said that? Let's see here. Someone just said that. Michael Macenis is kind of weird that media turns on the woman. I do wonder if that's a bit of a factor here. We're going to talk about all that. There's some stuff in Blake Lively's past that isn't helping her, largely getting married on a plantation, which she and Ryan Reynolds already apologized for, but that was pretty bad. But anyway, Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds had expected this to be a wonderful after party for Deadpool and Wolverine, with in fact Hugh Jackman even helping out with the advertising for this movie and appearing on the red carpet. So for this to end up cutting the Deadpool and Wolverine honeymoon short, I think is really bad. And, while Justin Baldoni might have hired a crisis PR firm, I am sure that, Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds are talking to their team about how they're going to, get this to stomp this out. Because it's really, really bad. All right, and also some people are wondering if potentially it's helping the film's box office because it's certainly keeping the movie in the news. I don't really know if it would, because it didn't hurt the box office. That's interesting. Jesse says he's pro Justin. Let me ask you, I'll do a poll. Who, based on what you know, whose side are you on? Justin, Baldoni? One second. Blake Lively. And then, I'm not sure. / don't care. Okay. All right. And of course, I appreciate everyone who's tuned in, and anyone who's watching can vote in the poll, while as members can only be in the chat. So, you don't have to vote right away. I'm going to explain to you the situation. All right. So again, as I said, this all started when people started to notice, social media, boy, be very careful who you follow and who you unfollow, because people are very good at finding this out, particularly on Instagram, it seems. So fans really were like, why is everyone unfollowing Justin Baldoni, even the author of the book? And then why does he have to do all the press by himself? And he's literally standing on the red carpet alone. Now, also, people have called out some very different approaches to discussing the film, which deals with domestic violence. Now, Justin Baldoni has really, to his credit, really said that is the focus of this movie. And I saw a very strong, very good quote from him where he said that if this movie inspires one woman or any person who finds himself in an abusive relationship to maybe get out of it, he feels that he will have done what he needs to do. And some people are saying the film romanticizes domestic violence. I've seen the film. I think the point of it is that it's trying to show you when it's not so clear cut. When you find yourself in a murky situation with someone that you do love or have at least feelings for, but yet you're concerned about how you're being treated and concerned, for your safety. So I think that's valid. And Blake Lively, people are saying, has been playing up more of the romantic aspects of the film and its big success and, more maybe treating it more like a romantic movie than the serious subject matter that it is. So I can see the arguments for sure. And I do feel that, has Blake Lively been absolutely perfect in how she's handled the situation? No, she hasn't. And, I think that, including that with the secrecy, has opened her up for critique. And I hope she's listening and at some point will maybe choose to address this or at least change how she talks about the movie, because I think that is a very strong note. And I'm very surprised that the publicity team for the film didn't point that out going into the press tour, because that seems like something that should be very clear. Maybe she should have paid attention to Justin Baldoni's interviews and been like, that's a very good comment. I should echo that. All right, then, I've also seen a number of people online coming to Baldoni's defense because they feel he's a person of color. Now, obviously, as we've learned, it is certainly not the prerogative of people who are white to determine if someone else is a person of color. So I'm just presenting to you the comments that are being said. I have no comment on Baldoni and what group that he fits into. Some people say that he's a person of color who's being ostracized by a largely white group of people. And then other people are pointing out that as banded, that he is Italian and Jewish. So, but, that it's up to you to decide, what's going on there. But, I've just seen people come to his defense for that regard. So that's also spicy white. I've seen that comment online. We're learning a lot here. We're learning a lot. So, there's that element, I think, that's kind of taking it on as well. All right, so, whew, as I said, a lot of drama today. A lot of drama, all right? Now, it's also come out that Blake Lively has commissioned her own cut of the film using the Deadpool and Wolverine editor. I wish she had gotten her own editor and not piggybacked on Deadpool and Wolverine, because Deadpool and Wolverine's like, famous, meme, why am I in it, right? Like, Deadpool and Wolverine and Hugh Jackman are like, what's happening? Why are we involved in this? But here, I have to tell you from, yeah, that's right, Chico, people are calling this a feud, and I did think of Ryan Murphy's series. I was like, oh, too soon? Too soon? But I think that, and Shahar, that's a good point. She is using Ryan Reynolds a lot. He rewrote one of the scenes in the movie. I think this would be easier on Blake Lively if she were standing on her own. If it was just her versus Baldoni. The fact that she's brought in Ryan Reynolds, who is like a really big star, I think makes people feel that it's unfair. Now, Blake Lively, though, has every right to request her own cut of the film, because she's not only the major star of the film, she is the star power in this movie. A star, particularly a star who is a producer. Blake Lively isn't even just an executive producer on this film. Blake Lively is a full-on producer. So she has every right to request and to put together a competing cut. We don't know for sure even which one made it to theaters, but that is certainly within her rights. There's nothing wrong with that request. I think it gets sketchy when she brings in her husband's editor on a much bigger movie. That's where it starts to be like, ooh, I don't know if you should have done that. All right? Then there's also, as I said, the imbalance of everyone feeling, here's poor Justin Baldoni, who no one even heard of a week ago, except for Jane the Virgin fans, and going up against Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds. So I think that's also a problem. Then, unfortunately, we live in a world where I think women, particularly a white blonde woman, doesn't get the benefit of the doubt. And people are quick to villainize her. Now, again, we don't know exactly what happened. Perhaps they're correct to villainize her. But I'm surprised that so many people are like so quick to judge Blake Lively, right? I mean, she seems like a very nice person. I mean, getting married on a plantation aside, I can't believe she did that. They apologized for it, but that was really bad. I think, I got to tell you, you can't apologize too much for having done that. I know it's like, it's time for our annual apology for getting married on a plantation. So that's pretty bad. So I think that's kind of like, people keep bringing that up about her. All right. So it's not great. Then, as I said, Justin Baldoni has now hired a crisis agency, which means he's going to fight back, which also probably means that he's having a very hard time, maybe feeling that he's going to be able to get work after this. Because I did tell you that I had heard, like you guys, we've only seen the fan side of this argument. But I can tell you that I've heard from people I know in the industry that most people in the industry are on Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds' side, which isn't just their side, by the way. Everyone's saying it's them versus Justin Baldoni. But don't forget that the entire cast, they asked Jenny Slate what she thought of Justin Baldoni, and she wouldn't even answer, right? And the author won't talk about him. So that is, and he has had a very long relationship with the author. The author, of course, is who he secured the rights from in the first place. So, and people are also bringing up a good point that, everybody was very mean to, who's the guy on that 70s show? Topher Grace. And that he was the odd man out, and everybody thought he must have done something wrong, but then it turns out he was the only one who was against Danny Masterson. So again, we can't jump to conclusions here. The story is vague, Dwight, which is why it's so juicy, which is why everybody loves the story, because everyone can go in there and put in their own conspiracy theories. The TikTok videos on this are insane. So I really feel like there needs to be some clarification. Now, I do feel from what I heard, this is tough. I don't want to get involved in it either. Let's just say it's difficult, okay? And I didn't hear that Justin Baldoni did anything. But then again, I mean, I'm just on the very outskirts. I'm just telling you what I've heard on whispers of people around town. But, let's just see what happens. Let's see what he decides to do is his angle. I think that, maybe they'd kind of hope that this was going to die down. But it's not going to die down, especially because he hired a crisis agency. So I guess maybe they're going to wait to see. Let's close the poll. Whose side are you on? I think it's impossible for us to choose a side because we don't know what's going on. All we can tell, okay, is that there's something that went on and that it really does need to be clarified. Some people might be like, why does it need to be clarified? Well, you made it everybody's business because, you guys could have just done the PR campaign, right? And not had any, notifications and then just dealt with this after the movie came out. But because they decided to take this stand on the red carpet the way they did so publicly, obviously people want to know what's going on. All right, so I closed the poll and it says, based on what you know, whose side are you on? 50% of you are unsure or do not care. 32% are on Justin Baldoni's side, and only 16% are on Blake Lively's side. Hey, Nikki Louise. That's pretty bad for Blake Lively. I think Blake Lively I don't even know if Blake Lively should wait for Justin Baldoni, because, I think there's something to be said for who defines the story, right? Everybody always hears the first thing first. Nobody ever is around for the clarification. So I feel like, it's only a matter of time because he hired this agency that, something happens that he may, and, he might, a lot of you are comparing it to Olivia Wilde, but Olivia Wilde, I feel, is a very different scenario. Olivia Wilde chose to have an affair with her leading man. That's different, Do I feel that it's partially because these are women that people are being very aggressive against them? For sure. But, there's nothing that we can do about that being the space that we're in. You see? There's nothing that we can do about that being the space that we're in. So we'll see what happens. So that's my thoughts on it. Does anybody have any questions or comments? Tenerife says, will this hurt Ryan Reynolds? I don't think it'll hurt him a lot, but it's not great. If I were him, I'd be particularly frustrated that this came right after Deadpool and Wolverine. It's just a headache he did not need. Jacob says, I think it's sad that when we don't know it, and all he was really trying to do was help his wife. Because, it gets tough, when you have personal and professional, the line blurred. Jacob says, I think it's sad that when we don't know anything, people resort to speculation. Yeah, but it's tough, and I do think, the Baldoni has presented a very sympathetic front. Andrew says, I think Blake has had her business hat on too snug and then it got in the way, but I don't blame her. I think she had bad intentions. I don't think so either. There's these little stories coming out. I saw one today that Blake Lively felt he fat shamed her because she had just given birth and she wasn't back. She looks amazing in the movie, by the way. She looks incredible. Can you tell that her wardrobe is trying to hide some problem areas? Who doesn't do that? Okay? I think she looks stunning in the movie. I think that's crazy that would be why she wouldn't stand next to him on the red carpet. There's a lot of problems in Hollywood. You think everybody gets along and they have to spend months or sometimes months together on a set and they're in camp basically, you're sequestered and away from your family, you're tired, you're working really hard, working weird hours. That can't be what it is. Oh, Sean Malia. That's funny and aggressive, but it is funny. Oh, Mish, I don't think this will hurt Deadpool and Wolverine's box office whatsoever. But, you don't want anybody, it's just not a great thing to have out there. Jerry says, do you think it'll be easier to win in the court of public opinion because he plays the abuser in the film? I don't know about that. I think, Frank says, I think it's more along the lines of that he seems like the underdog. And that because he has, I think he's run an ad campaign that really is very in step with what fans and people on social media want to see the ad campaign be. And I think that, again, I spend a lot of time online, and I think because of that, I've become pretty well versed in the online space. And even then, it's still tough. But I think that Hollywood has still to this day, the major players in Hollywood, even the people crafting these campaigns, don't spend the time online that they should. And I think they don't understand how these narratives, how quickly they can take shape, and I think they don't understand the perspectives of the loudest voices online. And that's sometimes why you see these things happen. I think anyone who was very well versed in the internet would have been like, clear problem coming your way. And I can tell you that Justin Baldoni will be the sympathetic figure in this discussion, unless you tell people why you're upset. Frank says, how can a progressive audience side with the man immediately? I think it's because he's, as again I said, the underdog, and because Blake Lively is so successful. You know, I don't think it's just a man versus a woman. And, you know, some people are bringing, you know, demographics into it, even though there's an argument about what demographics are involved, are at play. Oliver says, people love to tear women down. Again, as I said, I do think that there is an aspect to that, of that there. Sonda says, didn't Justin just hire Depp's PR firm? Who would hire Johnny Depp's PR firm? Because they did a great job rehabilitating his image. Right? Oh, like that really turned out great for Johnny Depp. He's like, everybody really thinks he's great. Let's see here. Steven says, I already just answered that. All right. Sam says, if it's really that big of a deal, where had it to be made so public? It's a very big deal. It might not be where you're looking, Sam, but I'm seeing it in People magazine. I'm seeing it all over TMZ. I mean, it's a very big story. It's all over TikTok. It's all over social media. Luckily, none of them has trended. But I mean, if Justin Baldoni sits down for an interview, oh, he's going to trend. That's what Blake Lively should be worried about. That if I were her, I'd be concerned that's what he would do. John Teal, I didn't mean to. Oh, Blair said, I have super chat. Did you watch that awkward interview where Ryan Reynolds hijacked the press junket and started grilling him on some interesting questions? Oh no, Blair, I didn't see that. That's unfortunate. I don't know. I didn't see it, so I don't know the vibe. But I do think that people feel it's 2-on-1. And I think that, you know, Blake Lively should take the lead here and really define what her issues are and why she made the choices that she did. B. Sponge said, believe it or not, I'm currently speaking with one of the actors who stars in Deadpool and Wolverine. Won't say who, it's for their own. B. Sponge, I'm glad you're talking to them, but I mean, we obviously can't confirm that. We don't even know what you're talking in reference to. Pearl Plum Sparkle is pointing out, and someone else did this as well. He's going on a podcast tomorrow, and one of you told me it was a very popular podcast that you really like. Fascinating. You know, it would make sense that he would go through a podcast because I think most mainstream media would maybe, I don't know how they would feel because of the Blake Lively, Ryan Reynolds aspect. So, and also I think a podcast would be more sympathetic to him. That's very interesting. I do wonder, you know, what the NDAs might be. I don't know if there would be NDAs on a film like this, to be honest with you. All right, I think some of you guys are ready to move on. Yeah, because this is pretty, let's move on. Now, let's definitely move on. Okay. All right, so that's story number 1. All right, if you thought that was uncomfortable, here comes story number 2. Boop. Oh, boy. Joaquin Phoenix. Why? All right, so late last week, Joaquin Phoenix, he dropped out of a movie, an LGBT-themed movie that he, in fact, had brought to the producers and the director. So we're going to go through all the details. But the reason that's such a big story is that some people are wondering if it will affect his Oscar chances. And then also people are feeling that he's very likely going to get sued. I think he's going to get sued. I think it's almost for sure that he's going to get sued. And, you know, the Hollywood Reporter last night just ran a big story about how all the producers in town are absolutely furious with him. And, you know, again, that makes it seem like it might really hurt his Oscar chances because those are awards voters. Then also one has to wonder, what will his ability to be cast going forward. Apparently, he's always been a little jumpy with his projects. You know, he's always, Dre Film says, is he uninsurable? He might be. You know, I think there's no clarification on that, but I would certainly think that an insurance company would be very concerned. I don't even know if the insurance company, I don't know if you can insure for an actor pulling out for personal reasons. You know, I think you can you're insured if something happens to them, but if they just quit, I don't know if that insurance would cover that, to be honest with you. I do think that there might be a situation going forward because, you know, this has happened, you know, back in the day. Kim Basinger infamously dropped out of Boxing Helena. Bruce Willis dropped out of a project. Both of them had to settle out of court. Joaquin Phoenix will probably settle as well. You know, I think you might going forward, because this is such a big headline, you might start having, especially for smaller films, some kind of clause in the contract that says you can't quit the movie after, like, there's like a point of no return. All right, so what happened, Shahar? So for those of you who haven't heard, so Joaquin Phoenix brought an LGBT romance, a very intense romance that takes place in the 1930s, it said, to Todd Haynes, who is an extremely well-regarded and famous and very experienced director, and also Todd Haynes' shingle Killer Films, and that's his producer there, Christine Vachon. So Joaquin Phoenix, Danny Ramirez, who plays, of course, the new Falcon to Sam Wilson's Captain America, he was supposed to star opposite Joaquin Phoenix. And the rumor has been that Joaquin Phoenix, and no one can confirm this, by the way, but the rumor is that Joaquin Phoenix decided he didn't want to do the love scenes. He thought that they would be too intense. You know, I think that Joaquin Phoenix should clear that up right away, because that's a pretty bad reason to drop out. And the longer that stays as the rumor, the more that it sticks. I also had seen that Todd Haynes and Christine Vachon made comments, and they had said that a number of people were saying to them, well, that's what you get for having a straight actor in a lead on a movie like this, which I think is an interesting conversation to have, because, you know, for a long time, LGBTQ actors were having trouble getting roles in Hollywood, but now that there are more and more movies and shows that are about LGBT characters, you know, what does that, you know, create for a space for them? But Todd Haynes and Christine Vachon made it very clear that Joaquin Phoenix brought this movie to them, that he wanted to star in. And he was obviously, therefore, very much in favor of it. So that is why, you know, they went along with it. Now, as for why couldn't they replace him? Well, it's because it was 5 days before they were supposed to begin filming. And it's almost impossible to find an actor and work out a deal in just 5 days. And it's very hard to put a production on hold. Everybody has cleared out their schedule. All of the permits have been signed. Everything has been rented. So an incredible amount of money has already been put down at that point. You have the lodging for the crew. You have down payments on, you know, just, you know, feeding and housing everybody. You know, you have contracts, you know, that are going to have to be canceled. I don't know what their liability is on that. But, you know, people in the film industry are work on a case-by-case basis. So they blocked out a certain amount of time that they were supposed to be working on this film. So now they're going to be unemployed. It's going to be very hard to line up a job at the last minute. So now all these people are unemployed because of Joaquin Phoenix. And also the Hollywood Reporter said this isn't the first time that Joaquin Phoenix has done something like this. They said he almost walked out of Napoleon, although, of course, now you'd be like, maybe he should have. But the only reason that he stayed on to the film is that Paul Thomas Anderson did uncredited rewrites, apparently, for Napoleon, which also, I guess, didn't help. But I think it's a really difficult situation. I think it couldn't be worse timing for Joker 2, particularly because of the strong LGBT component that's wanting to promote and support that movie because of Lady Gaga. So to have Joaquin Phoenix, you know, again, he has to clarify why he dropped out. And I can't think of a good reason for, unless it was like a very serious personal health reason or a family reason, I can't think of any reason that he would drop out 5 days beforehand. And even if he had to drop, even if there was a personal matter, it would seem like then you wouldn't drop out of the film, but you would need a 2-week delay and they could just start filming other sequences to begin with. So I think this is very, very bad. I think it's very bad for his image. I think that it's going to be hard for people to want to work with him going forward. And, I think that they will settle. Maria says, how much do you think they'll sue him for? They said there was a loss in the millions of dollars on this. So I think they'll certainly sue for expenses and then maybe even for damages. And also, what about lost wages? I think there's a very good chance if I were the crew, if I were somebody who was supposed to be working on that film, I would maybe potentially want to have a class action lawsuit. I'm not a lawyer, so I'm not sure what the term would be, but he costs people 2 to 3 months of work. And so they should at the very least recoup some of those loss of wages, as Nikki just said. Good job, Nikki. I think Joaquin Phoenix has a lot of money. He obviously has not only been a working actor for a long time, but he's won an Oscar. And of course, I'm sure he got a very nice amount of money, not only for the first Joker, but for Joker 2. I think he got a lot of money for Joker 2. Although it's been fascinating to see how little people get paid. Kate Blanchett was on What Happens Live, Watch What Happens with Andy Cohen, talking about Lord of the Rings, and she said she got paid nothing for that movie. Basically, she got paid scale and free food, which I thought was incredible, and particularly also because she's a woman. Also, I was just reading about another pay situation. What was it for? Terminator. Yes, I watched Terminator 2 last night, and after I watch a movie, I'm like, I want to read about it and see behind the scenes. So I saw that for Terminator 2, which took place in the 1990s, Arnold Schwarzenegger got like $12 million, although it was funny, they said they paid him with a jet. They were like, here's a plane, I'd be like, is it a new plane? And they're like, what do you care? It's a plane. So that's how Arnold Schwarzenegger got $12 million. Now, obviously, he's Arnold frickin' Schwarzenegger, and he deserves to be paid more. But I thought that Linda Hamilton only getting $1 million was a little bit too much of a discrepancy. I was like, and also fascinatingly, it seemed they wanted Denzel Washington to play Miles Dyson, but he turned it down because he didn't like the way that Miles Dyson was, scared most of the time, the character. And I thought that was really interesting to think about how Denzel Washington has crafted his image. I thought that was really fascinating. I mean, obviously it turned out great with Joe Morton. Joe Morton always making me cry. But yeah, I think 12-1 is too much in terms of discrepancy. But yeah, so anyway, I think that if Arnold Schwarzenegger got paid $12 million to make Terminator 2 back in the around 1990, I'm sure that Joaquin Phoenix got paid a lot to make Joker 2. So he can afford the lawsuit. And he probably doesn't want to have a lawsuit, so they'll probably settle out of court. But it's pretty bad. So does anybody have any questions or comments about this horrible situation? Oh, the drama. Oralis has said he had no issues falling in love with Siri. It's true. It's not like he hasn't taken experimental roles before. Haunted Autumn says, the dogpiling is a bit premature. How do we know he isn't having a mental health crisis? Well, again, I know that everybody says, right to privacy, and I think that's very true. But sometimes when you see the narrative getting away from you, you have to be like, you need to step forward. But then obviously there are tragic situations like Chadwick Boseman where obviously he could not and didn't, he didn't want to step forward, which is understandable. Stephen Turner says, this is so disappointing. A large part of the target audience for Joker 2 being a musical and Gaga fans are LGBT. Yeah, I think it's not good for that movie. Let's see here. Andrew, I Don't Care Bear has a good point. The PR damage could be more expensive than having to settle. And so I think the PR damage is very bad. Especially, again, couldn't have happened at a worse time when there's no headlines and, all the trades. You're like, what can we write about? And they're like, I know. Let's ask all the people and producers in Hollywood if they're upset with Joaquin Phoenix. And then they're like, front page. And you're like, Joaquin Phoenix is like, why did I have to quit this movie in August? Andrew says, this is going to put Lady Gaga in a very awkward position for Joker 2's press. It is, although they could just decide not to do press, which they did on the first Joker, in fact. Let's see here. Hey, Ben Trick. Ben 10 says, why don't they cast an LGBT actor? Well, I'm sure they'd like to, but they have some problems in that it's too short notice to negotiate a contract in time, especially because you need a named talent to get people to see the film. Then also, I think it's Joaquin Phoenix's property. Did he relinquish the property to them? I mean, he brought it to them. It's his project. So that's another issue. Damon says he's still going to support Joker 2. I'm still going to see Joker 2. I agree. I think that this is a Joaquin Phoenix issue. I do not think it should be an issue for the movie at large. That's right, Robert. Joaquin Phoenix rarely does press in general. Adam Sphere says that he is a straight person, does not care. Well, that's fine, Adam Sphere, but we're talking about the fallout to Joaquin Phoenix's career and with the fans for Joker 2. And I can tell you that in Hollywood, gay or straight, everybody's going to care about this. Because it's not only is there an issue in terms of financial business sense, but I also think there's a very big issue in terms of loyalty. And, Hollywood's all about who you know. A lot of times Kim Basinger was sued for libel and had to settle on a verbal agreement to star in Boxing Helena. She never even signed a contract. Because a lot of deals in Hollywood are done around the pool or done at a party. And so I think that that's a big part of it. So now it becomes like, if someone says something to you, how do you take them at your word? I'm Madam Sphere. I read you directly. Thank you, everybody, for blessing me with my sneeze. Thank you, Trisha. Oh, I like the salute, Isaac. Adam Sphere, I'll give you the chance to clarify. Oh, you said straight guys in general. So yeah, well, that's an interesting point. Will this hurt him with fans who might be drawn to Joker 2, not for Lady Gaga and the musical aspects of it? Yeah, I don't think this is going to hurt Joker's box office. I think it's going to hurt Joker 2 in the media sector. I think it's going to hurt it with the awards voters, and I think it's going to hurt Joaquin Phoenix's ability to get work going forward. That's how I feel about it. Harlequin Dove says, why on earth would he walk away from his own project? That's what's making it so weird. That's why people are filling in the blanks. If you don't want people to fill in the blanks, don't leave a blank. Kay Walton, that's a good point about how it might affect the reviews. Although Joker 1 had a problem with reviews as well. Hey, Caden. I think people, again, are being careful not to jump to conclusions. You have to be careful about that always. But, bottom line, he did quit a film 5 days before it was going to go ahead, and that's really bad. All right. Mish says, was Magazine Dreams made already? Is it collecting dust? It is, Mish, because it played at film festivals. That's Jonathan Major's big movie that was supposed to be his Oscar play, but Disney shelved it. Hey, Writer Boy, thank you for gifting a membership. Disney shelved it because of what happened, obviously. So yes, it does exist, and maybe someday, maybe Jonathan Majors should see if he could buy it back and release it himself. People can come back. Robert Downey Jr. came back, as many people are pointing out. But it takes time. It has to be done very carefully. It's really hard to do, but it can be done. All right. Okay, so let's talk about the third story of the day. This one, whew. All right. And then we'll do the Q&A where you can ask me anything you want. Let's just say we're at the third story because I don't want to be disrespectful because this is not only a serious story, but it's a very sad story. All right, so Disney had a wonderful weekend with D23. Then the headaches started. So the first thing that came up was that right after the weekend, after their amazing parks presentation, it became clear they had to clarify, speaking about filling in the blank, because everybody was wondering where are these new attractions going to go. And they found out that Disney was going to pave over the last remaining large water feature in Magic Kingdom, and put Cars Land smack in the middle of Frontierland and Liberty Square, two eras that did not have cars, which I thought was pretty funny. It would make you cry if it would make you laugh if it weren't so sad. I guess that's the way to say it, right? So that's nuts. And then also, a lot of people then got upset that it looked like they would be ripping out Muppets to put in Monsters, Inc., to put in the Monsters, Inc. land. And people are feeling that, it's just yet another way for Disney to stab Jim Henson in the back. With many bringing up the long, rumors, talking about rumors that it was the initial Disney deal that killed Jim Henson from the stress of having to deal with Disney, which of course is a very aggressive company, as you're about to find out. All right, Dory, I can't help it that this is the news cycle that we're in. But yeah, I'm trying, Dory, I'm glad you said that. I'm trying to be representative of the stories and talk about them, but I'm trying to also make sure that we are responsible in our discussion, right? All right, so they were already reeling from people's reactions to the theme park situation. Then it became clear today. Now, the woman that you see here was a guest at Walt Disney World. She's a regular person. She and her husband went with her husband's mother, and they went to Disney World, and very, very sadly, she died. She had an allergic reaction. She was allergic to dairy and nuts, and she was served that, even though she and her husband had checked and gotten confirmation from the waiter at the restaurant that you see there at Disney Springs, which is, it's not in a park, but it is. So, I'm not sure how that works, whether or not Disney itself is responsible. The wife died, not the husband. This is the woman who passed away. And her husband is suing for $50,000 to cover, wrongful death, cover funeral expenses, loss of companionship, etc. So he has filed for a jury trial with his lawyer. Disney responded, saying that because that they had signed up for, I can't believe this is true, because this couple had signed up for a Disney Plus 1 month free trial and had bought a ticket for Epcot through the Walt Disney World website, apparently there is fine print in both of those transactions that says that you can't sue Disney, that you must arbitrate any legal disagreements. That is shocking to me. Who reads the fine print, and who would have thought that that would be what it entails? We all buy our Disney tickets online. We're all Disney Plus subscribers. So if something happens to you and you feel you have a litigious argument against Disney, you cannot go to court because you have already agreed by purchasing a ticket. It has nothing to do with the dining experience. You've agreed to arbitration. I don't know if that is legal, Steve. So here's my first, we'll talk about the details on it in a second, but I will tell you that I think it will go to a jury trial, and I think that the jury is going to be pretty upset about how this was done. So I would suspect that he's going to get way more than $50K, because usually in these cases, juries like to send a message to get the company in question to stop it. So that's amazing to me. I can't believe that that is included in those kinds of transactions, and I'm just really shocked. And as many of you are pointing out, $50K for Disney is nothing. Like, what are they going to arbitrate? That they don't want to give them the $50K? So I'm just really surprised. And I'm also very surprised at the way the whole situation went down and why allergies aren't taken more seriously just in general. I really think it's a very cautionary tale that they knew that this woman knew she had a very, very serious dairy and nut allergy. And when they went to this restaurant, they asked the waiter to confirm that the things that they were ordering, and they were vegan items, vegan. And they said, are these dairy and nut free? And I hope this waiter feels very, very guilty that this waiter multiple times confirmed that, honestly, the waiter should have been like, you shouldn't eat here because I can't confirm to the degree that you need me to. So the waiter did confirm it, though. I can't believe, it just makes you wonder. Whenever you ask a waiter for clarification, it seems that the waiter, hopefully, I would hope most waiters are responsible, but you should just assume that they're just going to tell you yes. So, Heather points out it might be the cooks. Yeah, but I mean, like, it's very scary. So, well, then afterwards, apparently, according to the lawsuit, she went shopping, okay, and had an allergic reaction. They had an EpiPen. This family did everything right. They had an EpiPen on them, which they administered, but it wasn't enough because of the high levels of dairy and nuts in her system, and she died. So this is very bad. Again, as many of you are saying, in every story we've discussed today, the PR damage is so bad that you would think that these companies and these individuals would want to just settle this stuff and get ahead and just end it. So the fact that these are playing out is just really shocking. Michael says, legal guy here, that kind of language is everywhere. What is surprising is legal will usually just override cost if it's under a threshold. Really, Michael Mercedes, I can understand there being a legal agreement for a specific event or something like that, but I don't think that anybody who signs up for Disney Plus or to go into the theme park thinks that they're waiving their right to sue if something happens to them. And I'm surprised that it would be in there. I mean, it makes you feel, how could you buy a ticket to go to the theme park if those are the circumstances under which you're buying it? Michaela, this was in Orlando, and it was at Raglan Road, the Irish pub, which I've actually eaten at, by the way. I mean, I think that they would settle. I mean, I would pay him more than $50K. Finn Moreau says, question for everyone, has Disney's actions in this situation changed how you view Disney and how you interact with the company and consume their content? I think for me, I'll answer that question myself. It makes me feel I need to read the fine print. And then, am I not going to go to Disney World because of that? I mean, that's really, but you're taking a gamble. You know, you're going to have to take the gamble that nothing's going to happen to you that would make you, need to sue. Thank you, Zeester. I mean, honestly, I have to think about it because this puts me and my loved ones in a precarious position. And as you guys are saying, to nickel and dime them over $50K is shocking and amazing when someone died. I'm glad you're back too, Zeester. Michaela, I think they are still open. I Don't Care Bear points out about the fact that it would create a precedent if they settled. That's true. And you know, you don't always hear about it, but people do pass away on the Disney property, although they do have a history of taking them in an ambulance across property lines so that they technically pass away somewhere else. I've had my own experiences with insurance companies in my lifetime. I told you my own observation is that when I was little and I watched It's a Wonderful Life and I saw Mr. Potter, I said there's no way anybody would actually be that mean. And I thought that the movie was exaggerating. And then when I became an adult, I felt the movie was actually lowballing it and that people and companies and executives are actually much meaner. And that's just something that I think that we forget because who wants to live in that world? But this is a really harsh reminder of that reality. Dre Film says they serve alcohol. That's an excellent point, Dre Films. They serve a lot of alcohol at the parks now to the point that people feel a lot of people are being overserved. That's really interesting. iReady says the lack of care for regular people is so sad. These corporations and rich people should be... Yeah, that's funny. You know, I was thinking about the French Revolution a lot when I was watching the Olympics. I was like, everybody seems so civilized, but you guys were chopping off everybody, you know, doing the French Revolution. You know? But I mean, yeah, I'm surprised everybody always forgets about the French Revolution. Because that was really bad. But yet, it was pretty bad for the people of France at that time, which is why they did that. Lucy says, I have to guess that a lawyer is getting fired and they will backtrack. Well, I don't know. I don't know if they can do that because they filed the request to dismiss. So that means that they initially stood by that. They weren't like, oh no, what a horrible thing we made somebody sign. I don't understand how an executive wouldn't feel horrible about that. You know, like, who doesn't look in the mirror and go, is this really who we want to be? I mean, even if you didn't know what happened, I would hope that the upper management would be like, what did we put in the fine print? My God. Trisha, if it's for Disney Plus, I would assume it applies to all of Disney. So if you are signing on it and for anything, you read the fine print. I don't understand how anybody could be that heartless. It's very hard for me to comprehend it. Naveen, hi, congrats on your free membership. I'm glad you got a membership. Junior6288 says you don't get into upper management caring about other people. Isn't that hot? Isn't that sad? I just couldn't do it. I'd be like encouraging my employees to unionize. I'd be like, you guys should really unionize so I have a point person to interact with on what you need. Linzik says in Bob Iger's memoir, he talks at length about how that toddler was killed by the gator at Walt Disney property was one of the worst phone calls of his life. Yeah, that was really bad. I remember that. And they took care of that. Ready, that's so generous of you. Thank you. I mean, in Disney's defense, they did a wonderful job handling that tragic situation as best that they could under the circumstances. But, you know, are they going to get? Is Disney going to get into the business of deciding whose death is like worse? And you know, it's like they're all very sad. Isaac Lopez is an employee. I never tell a customer for sure that ingredients are not in said food. I'm not a cook. I don't know every ingredient. That's really a good way to be, Isaac. I think that waiter. I feel we can't blame the waiter totally, but I think, you know, as you said, I think you shouldn't ask the waiter those questions because the waiter doesn't know. Thanks, Caden. Caden says, I have a nut allergy. At Disney parks, the chef will come out and talk to me half the time. Disney does it better than most restaurants, I promise. You can never be too careful. Well, that is a very important point here because Raglan Road is not a Disney World restaurant, I don't believe. I believe that Raglan Road is a restaurant that rents the space from Disney Springs. And so, that's right, Jerry. I don't believe that Disney oversees this restaurant. Oh, hey, Maria. But still, because it's on their property, I feel they bear responsibility for it. I mean, maybe the outcome of this is that Disney takes over the management of even these restaurants. If there is a restaurant on Disney property, they should be overseeing it because they're liable. Well, Rogue Frogger, you say that people, you know, some restaurants suggest that you have a really big problem, you should eat at home. But that's kind of not great for those people to not be able to ever go out with their loved ones. But I mean, I guess it's unfortunately you have to do the research to see how seriously. I would think that if a restaurant is on Disney property, you feel that Disney's vouching for them. Caden points out that, you know, that's right, Caden. You know, Disney didn't seek to dismiss the lawsuit because they don't own the restaurant. They could have done that. Cosmic says, I ate at a Disney restaurant this past weekend and they gave me an allergy-free menu. That's great. I'm really glad to hear that. But, you know, Raglan Road claimed that they were serving vegan food in this case. Finn says, after seeing how they've acted Israel and how they've mistreated their theme park staff and VFX artists and what Bob Iger said about those who went on strike, my impression of Disney is not very good. Also, the fact that, you know, they have a lot of their employees sleeping in their cars, or at least they did. It's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. And again, this is a special problem for Disney because they're supposed to be the company that cares. You know, they are very much, you know, that's their image. And so, you know, I think the responsibility and expectations are higher for them than for others. Let's see here. All right, does anybody have any questions or comments about this? And then we'll go to the Q&A. Jay wants to point out that Raglan Road is owned by Great Irish Pubs in Florida. Well, I'm sure they're named on the lawsuit as well. I mean, I would be surprised if they weren't. I would think these people would feel just awful that they killed somebody. Peter Cunnington says, you got to wonder how allergic this woman was. Well, no, I think there was nuts and dairy in her system. So, Pearl Plum Sparkle says, Grace, do you feel like this is similar to the FTC suing Adobe for scamming customers? Again, I guess because it's the fine print situation. Perhaps, potentially. I think that's a very good lawsuit as well. Trisha says, why don't we ever hear about any of this stuff at Universal? That's an interesting question. I think Disney gets, I don't know if it's happened or not, but Disney, again, I think it's an image difference as well. I don't know if stuff like this happens at Universal or not, but I think Disney has, people expect more from Disney. Natalie Sue says a good restaurant will have knowledgeable waiters who consult with the chefs. That's an excellent point. Oh, SMR Goose, I'm glad you think I handled them well. It was tricky. Kay Walton says, I just don't see how it is completely Disney's fault if they don't even own the restaurant. Well, Kay Walton, I'm not sure that they're saying it's entirely Disney's fault, but I think they're arguing that because it's on Disney property and because it's part of the Disney experience and Disney promotes it as part of their vacation experience, it's one of the offerings that they have, that Disney is therefore vouching for the establishment, would be my guess. And as Michael Macenas pointed out, Disney, of course, does have more money. But I'm sure that the people who own this have $50K. And as Jay pointed out, attorneys will typically go after the biggest name associated. Yes, they will. But I don't want to, that makes it seem like we're trying to make the husband who's suing look bad, the widower. I think it's perfectly reasonable for him to go after Disney. And he's not asking for an exorbitant amount. He's not suing even for $1 million. He's not even suing for $500,000. I mean, it's really incredible that he's suing for $50K and he has to deal with this. Again, if this goes to a jury trial, I suspect he'll get quite a bit more. I mean, if I were a juror, I'd probably give him like at least $1 million. Because I'd be so upset about the fine print. I'd be like, as soon as we got into the arbitration room, I'd be like, I don't know about you guys, but I think this should definitely, I think we start at $1 million and go from there. Yeah, Mystic says make it 5. It could go quite high. I don't think it would go higher than 10, but I could see it going as high as 5 because this is just really, I think that the precedent, speaking of setting a precedent, the problem is the precedent that it sets for anybody, any guest at a Disney facility, which is all of us. This applies to every single person on this stream. All right, I think we're ready for the Q&A. We don't want to stay too long on these topics because they're tough. Okay. All right, it's 5:07. You may ask me anything you'd like until 5:17. Oh, Mika says, do you have any thoughts on James Gunn's no reshoots comment? I don't know. I think we should see it. First of all, it's way too early to tell whether or not he's going to do reshoots. I think James Gunn always gets himself in trouble. Every single time. I think he should just say, I hope I don't have to do any reshoots. Like, why? Why do it? Right? Like, just, You know, and also you don't have to diss anybody else's movie. Although I was really surprised. Again, Cate Blanchett, I was seeing a lot of stuff for her this week because Borderlands is coming out. And Cate Blanchett was talking about being in Thor Ragnarok, and she said when she signed on, they didn't have a script. Because she said, you should watch this. I think it was for like GQ or something. She did where Cate Blanchett recounts her famous roles. And she said, they basically just have a lot of action sequences mapped out, and they have some idea of how they're going to connect them. And I was like, oh, this is looking pretty bad for Marvel scripts. Let me see what the Oralysis says. Did you see the Rotten Tomatoes score yet? No, I didn't. I'm bummed that I couldn't go to the press screening on Monday. 82. That's not bad. What was it when you looked at it, Oralysis? Was it 82? I don't know if I get excited about. Oh, now it's down to 81. I'm going to see it tomorrow afternoon, and I'll review it in the evening. And I'll do a spoiler review in the morning on Friday. I'm excited. I just hope it's not too gross. I'm already thinking about what kind of snacks I'm going to get. Oh, nothing like a matinee, baby. I'm kind of excited. Oh, it's dropping fast. It was 97 when the embargo lifted. Oralysis, what did you see it at? Oh, let me see what it was when Oralysis saw it. Who just gifted a bunch of memberships? Oh, Lisa. That's so generous of you. Thank you so much, Lisa. I hope everything's going well, Lisa. Your positivity is a beacon of strength to me. Sean, that's right. The gentleman finally got renewed. Huzzah! Wanda's attorney. I'm trying to avoid the Thunderbolts footage. I'm so upset I saw Bucky's arm in the dishwasher because I want to be able to react and do a breakdown when they officially release the trailer. I really don't like that stuff leaks. Heinz E-Adventures, I'm glad you like my shirt. I think it's actually from Topshop. I wanted to know if you ever thought about visiting Dragon Con in Atlanta. It's Labor Day weekend, and it's the best fan-driven convention in the world. Oh, that sounds fun. I don't really do conventions these days, but I appreciate you putting that on my radar. Zeke says, Grace, any tea coming for DC that you heard of? I haven't heard. They're pretty quiet over there. I think they're probably going to wait and see how Superman does. John Teal says, you have Michael B. Jordan play Jon Stewart. Oh, I'd love him to do it, but I don't know. I think Michael B. Jordan has his own stuff that he's working on these days. So I think there are a lot of other up-and-coming black male talent that I'd love to see get that opportunity. It's going to be a great role. Daniel Harati says, hi, Grace, managed to bag tickets for Joker. You're going to the Venice Film Festival. Oh, wow, don't spoil it. No spoilers. Wow, what a place to see Joker at the Venice Film Festival. That's going to be wonderful. Stephen Turner says, in honor of the iconic Halle Berry's 58th birthday today, do you have a favorite Halle Berry movie or role? Mine's Catwoman. You like Catwoman? I know Catwoman certainly that movie has its fans. Let me look it up. I want to make sure I get it right. Happy birthday to Halle Berry. I love her social media presence. Hold on, I just want to make sure that I'm right on the movie that I would pick. Oh, that's easy. John Wick Chapter 3. She was great in that. I thought she did a great job in that movie. I wish she had gotten a spin-off. All right. So it was at 97. I would be very excited if Alien Romulus had a 97. I'd be like, my God. But I think an 81 seems more reasonable. Oh, Lord Baratheon was also asking me about Thunderbolts. Let's see here. Jason, there's no idea as to why Joaquin Phoenix dropped out. It's all just speculation. Let's see here. Andrew says, how bad do you think this will be for Disney going forward? They have so many bad headlines. I think it's just the headache of the week for them. But I think they don't need another one. I think that they're going to continue to be in the contentious space that they are. But it's not hurting their box office. I do think it's hurting their park attendance, though. Boy, is this going to hurt their park attendance. If you get hurt or killed, you won't be able to sue. So they're all. I think this doesn't hurt like other things, but I think this and some of the changes that they're making, I think their park attendance right now is flat, and I think there is a chance that in the next year or so you might see it go down domestically, which would be, boy, you think that'll be a headline. We'll be talking about it. Let's see. Kayla says we need more Grace After Dark streams. I'm so glad you liked it. I'm sorry to hear you were stressed, but I'm glad I helped lift your spirits. We're gonna do a Grace After Dark stream once a month. So the next one will be in September. Amika says, Grace, speaking of unionized, do you think that the Animation Guild will get a fair deal? Yeah, I think they will. You know, I'm not saying it's going to be the deal they necessarily want, but I think it'll be a deal that they'll be happy. I mean, like, a great compromise means everybody's a little unhappy, but I think that they'll get something good. Astronomy, I don't think they're going to drop the Thunderbolts trailer any day now. Do you think so? I don't think so. I think they're going to sit on it. I mean, everything leaked. All the trailers from D23 leaked, and they haven't released any of them. They didn't release the Daredevil trailer. They didn't release Thunderbolts. They didn't release, what was the other one? Captain America. They didn't release any of those trailers. I think they feel, you saw them a little bit, and I think they're just going to stick to their plans, if I had to guess. Kyle says, Kumail Nanjiani's been hanging out with Superman a lot lately. They have. I saw them at the Olympics together. I hope for Kumail Nanjiani's sake that he's not Booster Gold, but let's see. Let's see here. Ben 10 says, Grace, Thunderbolts leaks are everywhere. I'm upset because of one certain spoiler, a certain location. Yeah, I'm not happy about that leak. Oh, thank you, Olatobi. That's very kind of you. Oh, Tron. That's right, Tron. That leaked too. You don't see him releasing the Tron trailer. Let's see here. Heather says, Grace, what are your thoughts on Zaslav's Discovery Network being financially downgraded? Warner Brothers is having a lot of problems. I don't know if he can sell that thing fast enough. And it's unfortunate because it just gets like worse and worse. Mish says if Cameron Diaz is doing Shrek 5, Charlie's Angels 3, maybe she better be doing Shrek 5. I'm excited for a Cameron Diaz comeback. I think that'd be great. Ban, I don't watch Industry. I'm afraid I do not. Natalie Sue, Joel McHale's not a bad choice for Booster Gold. I don't think they should make Booster Gold. I think he's such a James Gunn style choice. I think James Gunn can't have the DCU just feel like James Gunn world. I wouldn't do Booster Gold. I mean, you already have Peacemaker. You can't have Peacemaker and Booster Gold. It's the same. It Will Be Okay says, out of the trailers that leaked, which is your favorite? I didn't watch any of them. I saw clips online because, they go by on my feed, but I have to be able to react to them, and I can't even cover them, so it would just annoy me. In fact, it annoys me already. It annoys me as is, but I don't need to be further annoyed. Yeah, Zeke, Peacemaker's filming season 2 right now. I think they might have even wrapped. I can't believe that show's coming back. And now we'll really see what the ratings are. Before they hid behind the fact that Max wasn't really participating in the ratings, but now they can't. Maybe they'll be great. Maybe they'll be great ratings. Jed says, hey, Grace, just wanted to say a huge thank you for the immense work you put into this past weekend. Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for joining me, and I'm so glad you loved my D23 coverage. I had such a good time talking about it with you guys. I had a really good time. It was so fun. It was what Comic-Con should have been, and I'm glad we got to have that experience this summer. Jason says, I want more 2 a.m. Grace. Yeah, it's coming. I'm glad. I heard you guys. I listen. I want to thank you guys. I really love the dialogue that we have. I think it's so helpful to me. It makes me a better person. It makes the channel better. I really, it's one of the best things about not only being on YouTube, but the live streams. Let's see here. By the way, Kumail announced a comedy tour. He hasn't done stand-up in 10 years. Oh, maybe I'll go see him. I really like Kumail Nanjiani, even though he has a totally different face. I mean, wow, it's weird. But I like him a lot. I think he's really funny and really talented. A performing artist. I'm going to be talking about the Anora movie tomorrow, actually, on a certain video. But I'm intrigued. Thank you, Aubrey. Stasis says, why do they show these trailers at events like Comic-Con and D23 if they don't intend to release them publicly? They're supposed to be a treat for the fans, and they're supposed to not leak. Comic-Con has very good security. D23 did not. And in fact, one of the reasons I couldn't really cover the Marvel animation panel was that they really stepped up security for that panel on Saturday after everything leaked on Friday. And there was no security at the Parks panel. They didn't care. Someone was live streaming that panel from the balcony. Disney didn't care. And it was great. I would have tweeted out the link, but I didn't want to get that person in trouble in case Disney was upset about it. Oh, Jico says, Grace, how do you recover post-Disney trip depression? Just go do something fun in your area. Go see Alien Romulus. John Teal says, Booster Gold and Peacemaker, go to White Castle. That's funny. Eddie Wu says, have you seen Sing Sing? I have not seen Sing Sing, but I do think that it's going to be a very big movie for awards. That's right, Chico. As I just said, they stepped up the security at the animation panel. Oh, Harsh Desai says, Grace, detailed thoughts on Palm Royale, especially with season 2 coming. Don't you think it's the best show? Oh, I love Palm Royale. And I can see why Kristen Wiig is nominated for an Emmy. Her speech, her monologue in the season finale was one of the best things I ever heard. And I'm like, no, Ricky Martin. Oh, I loved Ricky Martin. Ricky Martin was so good on that show. I really loved Palm Royale. It's funny, I thought the first episode was not great and I stopped watching the show. But I had nothing to watch that I was wanting. Sometimes I want a show that I can turn my brain off that I'm not covering. So I'm like, I can just decompress. And I was like, this show is amazing. And so I loved it. I loved it. I highly recommend Palm Royale. It's on that's right, Lisa. It's on Apple TV. It's phenomenal. Strong recommend. Lisa, it's really about women and going through stuff with relationships. I think you're really going to like it in particular. Blair Wraith, no news on White Lotus season 3, although they did show that first look, the other day. That's right, Mish. The stuff with Norma, particularly how it progressed over the episodes with that big reveal in the end, that was really strong. Elliot, I loved your Disneyland photo so much. I'm so glad your sister had a good time. And Peter Pan was also your favorite. And happy birthday to your mom. I was so glad that you sent me that photo, Elliot. In fact, I was talking about it with some friends because I thought it was such a lovely photo. Peter Cunnington, that's not just a rumor. It seems that they are. The Levys, Dan and Eugene, are going to be hosting the Emmys, and I think they're going to be really good at that. Oh, we're way over the time. Let me give shout outs. Okay, where are you? What are you doing? Cosmics, I can't go to D23 because I cover this stuff as it drops, and I couldn't do that if I was on the convention floor. And also, I have to pay for all my own travel because I'm independent. Jad, I am looking forward to Luca Guadagnino's Queer with Daniel Craig. It doesn't have a distributor yet, though, which I find fascinating. Good night, Heather. Oh, Nathan's getting ready to go to spin class. I love that. You're taking care of your health. Fran, I'm so glad you like the idea of movie club. That just came to me. And so we're going to have such a good time with that. And it's so cool to hear from you in Argentina. Heinz Adventures is driving home from work eating McDonald's. Oh, delicious. I'm jealous. Mystic says, I was late for stream, so I want to rewind and catch all the drama. There was plenty of drama. Whew, that's a lot of tea. That's a supersized tea. Oh, look, Square One is also maybe going to get McNuggets for dinner. You guys are making me want McDonald's. You have a great day too, Zeke. Malik is getting ready for their flight to London. Oh, that's going to be fantastic. And Bence is rewatching Arcane in Hungary. Great choice. SMR Goose, it's also his dad's birthday, making him dinner with the family. Oh, what a nice gift for your dad. And Podge Durka is at the Edinburgh Fringe Comedy Festival. Oh, that must be a lot of fun. Oh, and Austin brings up the McDonald's Collector's Cups. Those are kind of cool. I don't like the art style so much on them, but I do like that they're bringing cups back. Oh, Anthony's in Germany. Guten Tag. Is that German? About to head to bed. Had to catch the stream. Thanks for staying up with us, Anthony. R. Lizzie says, while in London, get Nando's. It's my favorite. Oh, what is this Nando's you speak of? And then the Kazar says, watching Hocus Pocus. Oh, you're getting ready for Halloween early, eh? Oh, and I Don't Care Bear says, just working on a 7-foot painting of Audrey too. Is it life-size? That's awesome. And Kyle is also at the gym on the elliptical. That's my favorite gym equipment, Kyle. So I'm right there with you, mentally. And RJ is about to get off work and go to the gym. Look at you guys taking care of yourselves. I love it. Mandito, I'm so glad you enjoyed today's dramatic stream. I had a lot of fun with you guys as well. Oh, Mish says Nando's is grilled African chicken originally from South Africa. Oh, that sounds interesting. I've never had Nando's. I haven't been to London in a very long time. And Mish says about to watch the last episode of Umbrella Academy. Good luck. It's not good, but I can understand you wanting to watch it. And I love that you're in Cape Town. I love talking to you guys all over the world. I think it's so exciting. Naveen's having Nando's right now. My goodness. Danielle also knows about Nando's. Man, I got to get on the Nando's train. Doc says it's Portuguese chicken. Making me want the chicken. Michael Macenis wants chicken now too. Oh, they have the Nando's is in the USA? Let me look it up. You're going to make me cool with all my friends. I'm going to be like, hey guys, we should get Nando's. Is it Nando's Peri Peri? Is this Nando's? I don't want to be eating no fake Nando's. Okay, it is? All right. They don't have any in New York. The whole state. No Nando's for me. All right. Oh, Jordan, you're gonna could you join movie club? That's excellent. Although remember, please, we're not watching the movie together because I'm not allowed to do that legally. But we're gonna talk about the movie. All right, I better get going. I'm editing a video for tomorrow morning. Thank you for introducing me to Nando's, everybody. I hope to try it at some point. Thank you so much. I had a great time talking to all of you, as always. I'm not sure about live streams for the rest of the week. We had a lot of live streams over the weekend because I'm going to be focusing on Alien coverage. And there will be a video tomorrow morning, a fun video. But then we'll try to get back to 3 live streams next week. It's tough, though, in August. But maybe we'll do an Ask Me Anything because it's so slow right now for the rest of the summer.